The 2026 NFL offseason has been one of the most aggressive that we've seen in years. Teams across the league have pushed their chips to the center of the table, making massive trades, signing impact free agents, and completely reshaping their rosters in hopes of competing for a Super Bowl. Some teams focused on building around young franchise quarterbacks, others doubled down on defense, and a few made the kind of splash moves that could shift the balance of power across the entire league. So today we're going to break down the biggest winners of the free agency period, the teams that improved their rosters the most, and positioned themselves to take a major step forward this season. Let's get into it. Starting off with my honorable mention is the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that's quietly had a really solid free agency. They addressed their biggest need by finding a running mate for DK Metcalf, acquiring Michael Pittman Jr., and a signing trade deal worth $59 million over 3 years. This new wide receiver duo ranks just behind the elite tandems of the Cincinnati Bengals and Dallas Cowboys in terms of contract value, so Pittsburgh is going to be expecting both players to take a major step forward in 2026. Michael Pittman Jr. is another big-bodied receiver who has elite body control, specializing in finding open spots within zone coverage. He's able to play in the slot as well, racking up yards after contact, and he can make contested catches any given snap. Defensively, the Pittsburgh Steelers have made it clear that they want one of the best secondaries in football, bringing in 3 new defensive backs this offseason. Asante Samuel Jr., who joined late in 2025, re-signed on a 1-year contract, and he provides versatility in both man and zone coverage, giving the team valuable depth in the secondary. The safety room could be one of the league's best, with Jalen Ramsey and newly acquired Jaquan Brisker arriving from the Chicago Bears to play for his hometown team. Brisker is a hard-nosed safety coming off a career year in 2025 with over 90 tackles and delivering several standout performances during the Bears' playoff run. At cornerback, rising star Joey Porter Jr. will be joined by veteran Jamel Dean from the Tampa Bay Bucks. Dean, a former Super Bowl champion, excels in press man coverage, and he has quietly been one of the NFL's more reliable corners since entering the league in 2019. The defensive line is still one of the oldest groups in the league, but they re-signed Cameron Hayward through 2027, and former first-round pick Derek Harmon Jr. should be in line for a year 2 jump after dealing with injuries as a rookie. After losing Kenneth Gainwell, the team's 2025 MVP, they made a nice value move by signing Rico Dowdle from the Carolina Panthers on a $12 million deal. Over the past 2 seasons, Dowdle has had over 1,200 yards and at least 5 touchdowns, and his pairing with Jalen Warren could give Pittsburgh one of the better running back duos in the entire NFL. The only thing keeping this team just outside of my top 5 is the uncertainty at the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers is still mulling retirement, and Kirk Cousins has been floating as a possible backup plan. But even if they turn to Will Howard, the Steelers still look like a team that could be dangerous in 2026. And with 5 picks inside the top 100 of the 2026 NFL Draft, they're far from done building this roster. Now that we've covered my honorable mention, coming at number 5 on my list are the Carolina Panthers, a team that made major upgrades to their defense. The headline addition was edge rusher Jalen Phillips, who signed a massive 4-year deal for $120 million. When he's healthy, Phillips has proven he can be a force on the edge with his explosive ability. He can convert speed to power with the best of them, and he consistently collapses the pocket with his length and motor. Paired with Derek Brown, first-round pick Nick Scouton, and Ashawn Robinson, Phillips instantly becomes the centerpiece of their pass rush. Carolina also added another young defensive playmaker at linebacker, signing Devin Lloyd away from the Jacksonville Jaguars on a 3-year deal for $45 million. Lloyd is one of the more athletic linebackers in the league, capable of flying sideline to sideline against the run, while also dropping comfortably into coverage. His versatility allows Carolina to stay flexible defensively, especially with paired with hybrid defender Isaiah Simmons, who the team also brought back this offseason. Together, that pairing gives the Panthers a much faster and more versatile second level. While Carolina didn't make overall their roster like some of the teams on this list, getting 2 guys at cornerstone positions after already being a playoff team is a big deal. Now onto my number 4 team on the list are the reigning AFC champions, New England Patriots. This was a roster that outperformed just about everybody's expectations in 2025, even if they benefited from a historically easy schedule. We saw the rise of young superstar Drake May, and now the Patriots are starting to build around their young core. They went out and got what could be their franchise receiver for years to come, signing Romeo Doubs away from the Green Bay Packers on a 4-year deal worth $70 million. Doubs is a player that never got to truly shine as a true number 1 option in Green Bay, but he's shown flashes as a guy that can thrive in such a role. He could run routes at a high level with a good release package to win in 1-on-1 situations, and for a Patriots offense that got dominated in the Super Bowl, this could be just what the doctor ordered. Helping out your young quarterback doesn't just mean getting new weapons, but also helping out with the O-line. They went and drafted multiple offensive linemen last year, like first-round pick Will Campbell and left guard Jared Wilson, but we all saw them struggle heavily in the Super Bowl. Now enter Elijah Vera Tucker, a former first-round pick from the New York Jets. Vera Tucker is a versatile interior lineman with experience playing multiple spots across the line. He missed all of 2025, and he's had multiple season-ending injuries in his short career, so there are concerns there. His athleticism and veteran presence should help stabilize this young unit, especially with Wilson expected to slide over to center now that Garrett Bradbury's gone. Along with those moves on offense, they also added Reggie Gilliam, a solid fullback coming from Buffalo, who should help the Patriots operate out of heavier personnel packages. Defensively, after losing Calebon Chason, they brought in Draymond Jones, a pass rush specialist who spent the second half of his year with the Baltimore Ravens. This is a product of Mike Vrabel's pull as a head coach. Vrabel coached him during his time with the Tennessee Titans, and Jones now lands a 3-year deal to become a key part of this Patriots defense. And last but not least, veteran safety Kevin Byard, formerly of the Chicago Bears, signed a 1-year deal just under $10 million. In 2025, Byard put together a first-team All-Pro season at 32 years old, leading the NFL in interceptions while having 93 tackles and 8 PBUs. He was a pivotal piece in the historic turnaround for Chicago, helping the Bears secure their first playoff win in 15 years. These may not be the moves that dominate headlines, but they're the kind of additions that could help the Patriots build on their momentum heading into 2026. Next up at number 3, the rich get richer with the Los Angeles Rams. A team that just fell short in an NFC Championship game against the eventual Super Bowl champions, this franchise is in win-now mode. At 38 years old, Matthew Stafford is coming off an MVP season, and the Rams have clearly decided to push all their chips to the center of the table, headlined by a massive splash trade. The Rams acquired superstar cornerback Trent McDuffie from the Kansas City Chiefs, bringing in a 25-year-old shutdown defender entering the prime of his career. The move feels very reminiscent of when the Rams traded for Jalen Ramsey at the peak of his powers back in 2019, a move that ultimately helped them lead to a Super Bowl victory in 2022. McDuffie has already built an elite resume early in his career, earning 2 All-Pro selections in his first 4 seasons. Early on, we saw him star in the slot alongside L'Jarius Sneed during the Chiefs' back-to-back Super Bowl runs. But over the past couple seasons, we've seen him fully establish himself as a true outside corner, recording 3 picks and 20 PBUs while consistently matching up with opposing number 1 receivers. And the Rams didn't stop there. To make matters worse for the Chiefs, they brought in McDuffie's former teammate Jalen Watson. Standing at 6'2", Watson is a physical corner who excels at jamming receivers at the line of scrimmage and making plays in run support. The team also prioritized keeping key pieces of their roster intact. They re-signed veteran safety Cam Curl, a former 7th-round pick, and he played over 99% of their snaps this past season. Along with Curl, the Rams also brought back tight end Tyler Higbee, an important piece for a team that leaned heavily on tight end heavy formations, as well as veteran offensive lineman David Quessenberry. I have the Rams this high on the list because they didn't just add another superstar talent to their defense, they also kept the core of this roster intact. When you combine that stability with a roster that already looks like a top 3 team in the NFL, and the fact that they still hold a top 15 draft pick, the Rams are in prime position to make another serious Super Bowl run. Rounding out my top 2 are the Tennessee Titans, a team with the number 4 overall pick in the draft and a franchise quarterback in Cam Ward. They overhauled their coaching staff by hiring defensive guru Robert Saleh, who then brought in Brian Daboll as his OC. Daboll's connection to the Giants has already paid dividends with the Titans landing star receiver Wan'Dale Robinson. Robinson had a breakout year in the slot in 2025, becoming the shortest receiver in NFL history to record a 1,000-yard season. The Giants' pipeline continued with cornerback Cordell Flott and Austin Schlottman signing multiple-year deals as future role players on this team. But what really pushed Tennessee over the edge for me to have them at number 2 was the star power they added on defense. They went out and traded for edge rusher Jermaine Johnson II from the New York Jets, a move that immediately upgrades this pass rush. Johnson is coming off the best stretch of his career, and he gives Tennessee the kind of explosive edge defender every defense needs to disrupt opposing quarterbacks. Then they doubled down in the trenches, signing defensive lineman John Franklin Myers to a 3-year, $63 million deal. Franklin Myers is one of the most versatile defensive linemen in the league, capable of lining up inside or outside and creating constant pressure. Pairing him with not only Johnson, but Jeffrey Simmons as well, instantly gives his defensive front a facelift. When you combine all these moves together with a young franchise quarterback in Cam Ward, a much better coaching staff, and multiple contributors added across the roster, the Titans suddenly look like a team that could accelerate the rebuild much faster than people expected. And that's what I like coming at number 2 on my list of free agency winners. Taking the number 1 spot on my list are the New York Football Jets. After a disappointing season, the Jets went into this offseason with one goal in mind: to rebuild the identity of this team through physicality and defense, and they absolutely delivered. They started by keeping one of their most dynamic offensive weapons, placing the franchise tag on Breece Hall. Hall remains the engine of this offense and one of the most explosive playmakers at the position. Then they brought in veteran leadership at linebacker, signing former All-Pro Demario Davis back to New York for 2 years. Even at this stage of his career, he's one of the most smart and instinctive linebackers in the entire NFL. But the biggest move of the offseason came in the secondary. The Jets executed a sign and trade deal for star safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, bringing him in on a 3-year deal for $40 million. Fitzpatrick is one of the most premier ball hawks in the NFL, and his ability to patrol the deep middle instantly elevates the Jets defense, who had 0 interceptions for the first time since the 40s. They added depth and versatility to the secondary, cornerback Nahshon Wright from the Bears, and safety Dane Belton for $4 million, strengthening the back end of the defense. Up front is where things really got interesting. The Jets rebuilt their D line by signing edge rushers Kingsley Egbinari and Joseph Osai, giving them two young pass rushers who could consistently pressure the quarterback. They also brought in veteran defensive lineman David Onyemata to add interior disruption. And then they made one of the more underrated moves of the offseason, trading for massive nose tackle Devondre Sweat from the Titans, a player who immediately upgrades their run defense, brings elite size to the middle of the D line. When you take a step back and look at the entirety of that offseason, the Jets added impact players at every level of their defense while keeping the core of their offense intact. That's exactly why they come in at number one on my list of free agency winners.